Hey, peace and blessings, family. It is your girl. It is your sister, Mama Ro over here in Phoenix. And it is Sunday morning or Sunday Sit with Sisters. So I'll be joined by a guest in another 10 minutes. But just wanted to come to you all and see how everybody's doing this morning. If you give me a minute, I need to make some things public on my page here. I hope you all are had a great week and looking forward to another great week. Um, there's a lot of things happening in the world, and I hope everybody's keeping up, or I hope everybody's still slowing down. Because even though we're not in a pandemic per se, like in terms of the quarantine fully, still wear your face mask, still cover your head. Sound like stuff your grandmother would say, right? So cover your mouth when you sneezing and stuff like that. Don't be breathing all up on people. You in the store, don't be up on people's backs. That's personal space. That's the stuff that I don't know about y'all, but when I was growing up, that's the stuff that um I was brought up like with mannerisms and stuff like that. When people taught you how to, uh, yeah, taught you how to behave, how to act, how to do what it is that you do on the planet. So a lot of stuff happening. We're going to be joined by Sister Rose, and we're going to talk about Black femicide. April, which is coming, is Black Femicide Awareness Month, and I don't know about you all, but sometimes I feel some kind of way when every day when I wake up, there is a Black woman or a Black girl, and sometimes Black babies, Black children are being murdered in this country. And we are just like not seeing it. And I want to take a little bit of time this morning, excuse me, and talk a little bit about value and what does value really mean. And not the value that other people place on you, but the value that you place on oneself. And sometimes I I'm not really sure if we understand or even if we do value our sacred portals, our life givers, our life carriers in our communities. Now, I'm talking about the Black community. I don't know how we, in good consciousness, see and hear about all of this death and have no response to it because maybe the people look like us. But when white people do stuff, we are like, we make them valuable because every time they do something, we have to say something about it. You know, now we're on this thing about the anti-Asian hater whole thing, and I feel like this may be the time we want to look at our relationships with people. It's not as easy as we're going to all come together and go against white supremacy, which is kind of impossible because white supremacy only exists when there are people who have melanin. We make it powerful because we're in a system. And when you're inside of a system, you can't change a system. You really can't. I know we think we can, but all you can really do is follow your own path and not give it so much power. Um, and I know that's a hard concept. I am watching all of the discussions. I think Black people, if they have some feelings about something, they should be able to express it. Express it. They should not be made to feel like, well, that's not what we're talking about, or no, like it's like before I go to help somebody, and say we're not in good standings, we probably have to talk about it before I can go and help you. I think we don't always have the discussion around things, you know what I mean? And then what happens is that resentment shows up. You know what I mean? People are very resentful because you never discuss what issues that you have. Now, we know historically in the Black community, in the ghettos, as we call them, in those low income areas, that we had something called the corner store. And in the corner store, the owners of the first corner stores that we knew of in the Black community were mainly white people. Then there were Jewish people who owned the store. Then those stores went to Asian people or Chinese people at that time, I guess it would be, because Asia, that's a whole other thing. You know, that's a whole continent of people. You know what I mean? But then after the Asians, got the stores or the Koreans, and then it went to the Latinos. Now, I talked about all of these groups who own things in Black communities, but Black people never owned the corner store. So in this system, we like to talk about a white supremacy. We know that there is a hierarchy in how it works. And so one minute you can't benefit off of it and then be a victim of it. You understand what I'm saying? Because you have to make the choice to take the benefit. It just works like that. And so I feel like we do have to have some of these conversations. Now, for me, when I think about the Asian people that are in my life, I'm really cool with them. They've always been very nice to me, very hospitable. Um, these are people that I'm friends with. My tax guy, the sister that does my nails and stuff. She's really all of them are very nice. I've been going to them for years. So I have a great relationship with them. Now that's not to say I haven't met Asian people who were kind of like assholes. Like when I was growing up in Philly, and we used to go inside their store to buy Chinese food, and the older Asian lady was pretty nice, but her husband and her daughter wasn't. You see what I'm saying? So one of them was always running down the street. I'm from Philly before people could see her because they probably was going to whoop her ass up. So, but we've always had these kind of shaky relationships. You know what I mean? Um, I think it's time that we have those discussions about what does it really mean. You can't ask Black people to save you when you know our relationships between each other haven't been great. Like even in the response to what has happened, you can see that our country really do value people of Asian ancestry. Let's just be honest. I mean, the president took no time coming out and saying what he said and whatever, because he valued Asian people because they bring a value to this country and to communities. Then when stuff happened to Black people because we have no value, don't nobody say nothing. It's like, oh well, that's the law. The person within their rights. All of this stuff comes out because it's like there's really no value for life. So anyhow, so I think we need to be looking at that family. I think we should have these great discussions with our Asian families and counterparts. Um, in Asian, that's a big ass label because you have people who are, Vietnamese and Taiwanese and Korean and Japanese and Chinese. I mean, it's just so many of them. You know what I mean? So that's a large ass label. You know what I mean? And they're not all the same. Just like all Black people aren't the same. So that's just something to think about, family. I mean, as we look at it, I think it's healthy for us to say, um, I don't know if I should be fighting for them because they don't fight for me. That's really healthy. That's a good discussion. That's kind of like when we talk about gun control. Only people who are told about gun control is Black people. White people, you're not going to control their guns. But instead of us having a discussion on maybe learning about guns so you're not afraid of them, we just say we need to not have any guns because you are afraid what you may do with a gun. But I think if you educate people about the gun, then it changes the whole ball game. So I think these are good times to have good discussions with your friends and family. I have like a chosen niece who is Filipino, and I'll jump in somebody's chest behind her. But see, we have a relationship. You know what I'm saying? Like that. I don't really see her, you know, um, I don't see her just a label as an Asian person. Like I don't really see her in that way, even though she is Asian, she's Filipina. So but I think we gotta have those discussions, family. We just gotta have those discussions. And I think if we don't allow ourselves to have these discussions, then we really can't get our needs met. You understand what I'm saying? We really can't even get our needs met. So it's just something to think about because I know that's something that's really big on our mind. And my guest is trying to get on here. Hold on. So that's something to think about. Also in the world, I don't. So that was a big thing, the anti-Asian thing, I guess, for some people. And then I just think overall, we have to be really concerned about what's happening with Black girls and women. I'm going to share my screen as our dear sister is getting on. We're going to talk about Black femicide today. And I just want to, I think when we do this thing, when we talk about, oh, it's just domestic violence, we really have to stop trying to, um, we got to stop trying to ease things up. I don't say like, we try to take the sting out of it. It's kind of weird. You know what I mean? We are constantly trying to take the sting out of things. And so we're looking at the homicide timeline. And so Black femicide is the killing of Black women or Black females. That's what Black femicide is. Um, and hey, sissy, and I think this is something we're gonna really have to look at, family, and look at closely. So when I see somebody's face like this, When you look at this beautiful little sister who, you know, this person is from Pennsylvania, 13 years old, was charged with this murder of his sister. Um, y'all, this is crazy. I don't know how we see these things. Here's another little sister who was murdered right here. I don't know when we see these things like this, and we see black girls and women being murdered down in the street. What's our response, and why aren't we doing visuals? Why aren't we doing marches? I've seen people show up, and you can show up for whoever you want to show up for. Let me just say that. That's my first disclaimer. You can show up for whomever, but I feel like it says a lot about you and your community, your people, when you see murder happening in your community and this happening to your life bringers, your sacred portal carriers. I'm talking about the black woman. I say put the womb back in woman, and we don't say anything. And then you'll have those same group of people talking about the birth outcomes of black women. We're not having as many babies anymore. You know, like you want me to carry life, but you want to kill me. And so the fact that we aren't really having these real conversations and we're not educating ourselves, we also got to stop trying to make women the victims of their own murder. You know, we'll say something like, I put a post up earlier this week about we have to ask our men and boys to do better, you know. And then of course, men will say like it's on us both. No, like you don't get to put me in this. I've been holding this up. When you're a black woman, a girl, and me, this is an announcement for brothers and no disrespect. So if you're a black man, you was raised by your mama and you respect women, then this is probably not for you because you probably learned this already because you've been with your mama and she's raised you. But you know, you gotta like you gotta know when to walk away. You gotta know that when you're a black girl or woman, you're always given the responsibility to be responsible. That's just the way it goes. You're always being made to feel responsible. Always. I've seen more women come to the defense of their sons than their daughters. Let me just say that again. Now, some people's feelings is going to be hurt, but I just got to be very solid about what I'm saying. I have seen more mothers defend their sons on some real bullshit and be very hard on their daughters. I have seen sons tell their mothers, Mom, please back up. Let me handle this, Mom. I got it. And then I watch the mom be like, no, you really ain't got it because I'm here to save you. Hey, good morning, family. And so when Sister Rosa told me that the latest number for Black femicide is 200 and what is it, 63? And then we're talking about up to mid-March here or a little bit into the latter part of March. That is alarming, family. We should all be, there's 263. And of course, they're still counting. So that's from January 1st to where we are right now. 263 Black female women have been murdered in our communities across the United States by Black men. See, and that's the part. So we'll have people say stuff like, we just can't say Black men. No, that's what it is. That's what it is. And if you don't have enough courage to own your shit, then we should not be protecting you. We should not even be honoring you. I say Black women better get to the shooting range and get their aim straight and right because we can't afford to be killing off the sacred portal carriers. We can't afford it, family. You know, right on. I agree. We definitely must. But I also think it's time for people to take responsibility because this is what I do know. And I agree with you. I just know that when we interface with our open enemy, we tend to we think when we interface with him or her, we think about how we're interfacing with her. We know if we do something to her, her man is gonna come and it's gonna be smoke. So why can't we do that with our sacred mothers? Why can't we do that to the sacred portal carriers? Why can't we do that? Why? Why are we not having this discussion about 263 Black women and girls being murdered in the United States? Why can't we do that? This little baby was killed by a dog. I'm not used to seeing Black people with their dogs. I'm just not. When I grew up, the dog did not come in the house. But that's just, and we had dogs. Yes, we did.
Hey,
Hey, sister.
hey, sorry about being a little late.
That's all right. Can you close that blind in the back? Because I guess it's taken away
Sure.
from your face. It's the lighting coming in. That's all. Y'all, we are joined by Sister Rosa, who I've really just grown to just love and have so much appreciation for. She is the one who runs that Black Femicide page, family. Then I'm going to try to get up while we both on here. There we go. She
Okay.
runs this page. Sis, you were telling me the other day that the numbers, first of all, how you doing this morning? And thank you for making time.
Oh, girl, always for you. I'm doing good. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good as I can be, but always having the hint of sadness when you sent me that number, that the number is now 263.
And unfortunately, since I sent you that yesterday, it's 266.
Oh, shit.
Yep,
I just
200,
can't.
266. Let me look at the sheet right quick.
It's all
It's
right.
actually 267 because
266.
I added, hey Leah, I added the 12-year-old last night whose mom gave the son, told him to go get her 9mm out of her purse. He came into the house, pointed it at the sister and shot her. He was 13 and the mom and the little girl was 12. So
Totally preventable.
totally preventable, but the mom had him go to the car and told him to get her 9mm out of her purse. And my thing is, it's obvious that she has done this before.
Hmm.
Yeah, the little 12-year-old right there, I think her name is Josiah.
Yeah, I'm trying to here.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Family. Got my screen. Let me get it right. There we go. With her beautiful face, look at her smile.
Mm-hmm.
I look at her face and I think to myself, how we gonna ever live? Like, if she can't live to be a grown woman and be a mother herself, if that's what she chooses to do, I don't see how we don't feel some kind of way about that.
People just really don't care. I mean, I'm not saying that, of course, there's a collective Black women who I'm so
Yeah.
glad to see that are waking up. So it's not the sisters that are starting to take notice, but it's a general apathy in our community that Black women and girls are just discardable. We live in a very politically inclined climate right now, especially with social justice. Right now, social justice seems to be only focused on, and me and you have discussed this before.
Yeah.
Their only focus is law enforcement involved killings of Black men. Now they're dismissing Black women and girls who are also involved in law enforcement involved killings. So, again, it's in our community, every Black person is a man or a boy. Everyone else
Mm.
has to step aside. But as I said, right now we're standing at 267. There is really no outcry. But I actually did an interview on Friday with the Washington Post. So,
Right on.
we'll see where it goes from there. But no one in our community. It is great that I'm getting exposure on a national level, but I want the exposure also to be within our community who is impacting the most. We need everyone in our community on board to see the disparities, to see that at this point, it's actually closer to about 7.5 hours, but right now I just round it off to every 8 hours, a Black woman or girl is being killed in the community.
Wow.
So, and then you have the days where the numbers are actually a little higher because you have if you oh, I'm sorry, I thought that was for
No, you
me.
did. You good.
Oh, you know, um, if we continue, generations are being gone. When you kill a Black woman in her childbearing years or a girl, that's generations gone. Constantly, as I've said before, we always talk about the public school prison pipeline. We're always constantly talking about that. But no one talks about when Black women are killed, how we have a pipeline straight into the foster care system. Because
Mm.
when children are left behind, a lot of them are going into foster care. We no longer have that uh, village mentality
Hmm.
where the elders or family would take care of the children. So a lot of our children are going into this dysfunctional foster care system, as we know, that's already overburdened. Children are being brutalized within that system. So you're going from one situation to a worse, what, from the frying pan into the fire.
Fire. Right on. Right on. Right on.
So,
You know,
we really need to think about those things.
you said something that was very just made a lot of sense. We talk about that prison, the pipeline system. Sorry, family. We talk about that prison to sorry about that. I don't know why they popped like that. We talk about that prison, the pipeline system a lot. And you just pointed out what happens to the children of these murdered women. And where do they end up? And are we, see, I feel like, I'm not saying that systems don't exist of white supremacy. I just know that that's not the answer to this problem. We have always been in a system of white supremacy since we've been in this country, but we still made a way out of no way. I remember that my ancestors have always made a way around this whole brutal system. They didn't say we can't do that because we are slaves or we don't have this. They was like, we gonna make it happen. And I feel like they knew that they were human beings who could be accountable to themselves and for themselves. I really don't understand why we don't see that. Why there isn't more outrage? Why aren't we organizing marches all across this country through our own communities to stop this
Mhm.
madness, to stop this violence, to stop this genocide on self? To stop this, and I'm going to say it, this black on black crime because it exists. And I'm okay. And we can say black on black love or black this, or black, we're going to talk about the bad shit that black people do because that's
Mhm.
all a part of the same thing. You can't want to feel good all the time and don't talk about the times when your ass don't feel good. There's something wrong here.
And like I tell people, it's good to be positive. It's good, but there's an old saying: you can't have light without darkness. So we have to discuss the darkness in our communities. Researching and taking these numbers, it's a lot. It's emotional. It takes an emotional toll on you. There are days when I have to step back and take time off. But if I don't, who will?
Mm,
Nobody's thinking about us except for us. And I just want to point out, I don't have a problem with anyone, racial. I don't care. Everyone deserves their humanity. But I'm going to make this known. A sister came on my page, and I use the term sister loosely. She came on the page and she was saying that she felt that me posting about Latasha Harlins was strategic, and I was doing that. I'm doing this at such a contentious time with the issues that are going on within the Asian community. Now, I posted about Latasha Harlins last year when Netflix did the documentary about A Love Song for Latasha.
Mm-hmm.
This year, I posted again about it because it was up for an Oscar in the short film category. That was on March 15th that it was nominated. On March 16th was the actual 30-year anniversary,
Mm-hmm.
which was the day after it was announced that the Oscar was it was Oscar nominated the film that was about dedicated to her. So I posted about it. I had to tell the sister that, first of all, if she was a follower of the page, she would have known that I've been posting about her for a while. So she had to be new or someone who was there to stir the pot. My page has always been and will always be dedicated to Black women and girls. That will always be the focus. I don't deflect. I don't allow people to deflect. Yes, I block people. I remove them from the page, because if you're coming to that page to try to deflect and talk about whataboutisms and talking about solidarity for everybody else, I don't have a problem with that. You can do what you want to. But right now, my focus is going to be clear. My mission is clear. I'm about Black women and girls. Nobody has talked about going into solidarity with the issues that's going on in our community. None of
Mm-hmm.
these other groups that people are badgering Black women to stand behind have been focused on us. And I say that because people are not used to Black women focusing and centering themselves. Enough is enough. We've said we've let people stand on our shoulders. We go ahead and we stand behind the Black man and his abuses. We go in other communities and uplift them and try to tell them what to do. But I'm here to say this: other groups of people have been on this planet just as long as we have. We do not need to be educating people about anything. Black people have had to educate themselves about everything and everybody, but people want us to continue to educate them about people that have been on this planet right alongside them. I do not do emotional labor for nobody else. I do not do it. I'm not here to teach anybody about how they need to treat other people humanely. You know what humanity is. You know what it is because you're a human being and you know how you want to be treated. I should not have to tell you how to treat another human being. I'm not going to do it. So for those who want to come on my page and say, what about this person? What about that person? I'm going to redirect you to what the title of the page is: Black Femicide. Fema being a prefix that means female. And that's what it's about. If you want to talk about something else, do it on your page or groups that allow that. But I don't allow it on my page. I don't discuss it, and I don't do back and forth. So you are wasting your time asking those questions on my page, sending me inboxes, sending me nasty emails. I tell you what the focus of this page is. Look at what it says the page is about. You don't have to ask any further questions. I don't do what about.
Right on, right on. Woo, sis, I'm right there with you. And I put the sister's face up, but I feel like before you came on, I was waiting for you to come on. I talked about Black people needing to discuss how we feel about things. Like before we join in solidarity, we got to talk about our relationship with people. We got to talk about people benefiting off of a system and then get mad at the system when the system implodes on them. Because every day we being murdered in the street and nobody has an outcry. Nobody gets up and says anything. And
Mm-hmm.
then you want the victims or the people who are the targets of these murders to then fight for another group that doesn't fight for them wholeheartedly. I'm not saying that there aren't individual
Right.
people
And
and
there are.
help us, because there are, and I know of some of them, but I feel
I
like
work with some
this
of them.
yeah, this is the time when we talk about that. But people are always on the backs of Black people and Black women in particular.
Black
We
women
are
in
like the
particular.
mules for the world.
I actually work with other women of multiracial, multicultural women in different countries who actually focus on themselves. You don't hear anyone going down and telling the Latino women who are fighting femicide in their country, you don't hear anyone telling them to focus on Black people or other people. You don't hear about the missing and murdered Indigenous women
I know.
organizations who are focused on what's going on in their community. You don't hear anyone going and telling them that they need to go outside of their community and focus on other people that are not their people and not the issue that they're struggling with in their community. Femicide is going on all over this globe. There are
Yep.
multiracial groups of women who are dedicated to fighting these issues within their own countries, within their own cultures. And not once have I had any of these women that I have happily work alongside. I have never heard them say that they are being forced to focus on someone outside of their group. That issue is only something that people like to pile on Black women. And I am not the Black woman that's going to do it. I'm
Mm.
going to focus on my sisters, just like the Indigenous women focus on their sisters and family, just like the Latino women focus on theirs, just like the women in India, the women in China. I can name different countries over in Russia, all of these different groups of women who are fighting femicide and trying to
Mhm.
get the exposure out about what's going on with their groups. Nobody's doing this to them. I am feel like I'm the only one on the panel with these women who have to deal with people lambasting me for not focusing on other people.
Mm. Sis, I'm going to, and I hope you see the comments. I'm trying to bring them up as you talk.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
seeing.
yeah. I'm gonna share now this one case, and so when we talk about Black femicide in particular, I just want to put the face to what it looks like when we talk about the people who are committing these crimes.
Okay.
Here is a man right here. I think his name is Isaiah. Yeah,
Yes.
Lockett, 35 years old. This man has been indicted uh, in August of the death of a 5-month old and injuring 2 other children. What the hell is going on with Black men there is a need? See, we'll be trying to protect him from the police, but who's going to give us justice? That's why I'm not an anti-police person. That messes up some people, but I know that we don't have the kind of structure where we can even save each other, where we can really. Who are you gonna call when somebody's beating the hell out of somebody, or when a person like this commits a crime or a murder? Who do we call as Black people? But we'll be talking about we don't like the police because we do have some cops that are not good cops. You understand what I'm saying? But
We
we don't have
understand
a
that.
system in place, and I find that people who are criminal minded don't like the police. That's what I find.
And I
Because they be
find
trying to
that too.
yeah. I'm just gonna be honest. What could be going on in this man's mind? And there's a lot of men. I mean, I can pull up a lot of these uh males like this who are committing these kind of crimes, but we'll be fighting to save him. We'll be naming the street for this fool if he got killed by the cops today.
And see that's my issue. All of this anti-police rhetoric is dangerous for Black women.
Yeah.
It's dangerous for Black women and Black women, Black children, and other vulnerable people within the community. They want to be anti-police and say, okay, well, we need to police our communities. But how are we policing our communities when the communities hide these people? The community protects these people. People want to say that, but the community is not able to police itself right now as it stands. We already know that the community victim blames and protects perpetrators.
Yep.
We know this. We had a mother who he ended up killing himself after he killed the wife and her children, but the mother didn't give the police the information and was hiding her son.
Mm-hmm.
She hid him and she didn't cooperate with the police. I understand that that was your son and that's your child, but you're a mother, which means you're a woman. And you didn't care about the mother and the two daughters that your son killed. It's sickening that I have to constantly hear people talking about perpetrators. The story about the dog, where the little girl got her, bit by the pit bull terrier mix. When you look at the comments on the page, people were more concerned about the dog, and not too many people said anything about the girl. And again, about the 12-year-old girl who was shot by her brother, people are more concerned about the brother and saying the mother need to be charged, and very little sympathy went out to the dead little girl. It's just sometimes it astounds me when I read the comments. I allow the comments to stand a lot of times to show what we're actually dealing with in the Black community.
Yeah. And these are not isolated incidents, by the way. I think we love to act like this is white supremacy. And I'm going to keep going back to that because I'm about sick of that word. I think it's like a buzzkill. And what I know about this system for real is how you desensitize word. They're masters at doing it because we help them do it. Because we use it so much, it don't even have any power to it. Like you can't really there's no power in the word white supremacy.
No.
You just kind of desensitize it. But I feel like when I see this young man here, he gets life in prison. He basically strangled his girlfriend. This is a mother of three. Like
Yeah.
these are not isolated incidents, family. I know we like to act like these. No, 267 Black women and girls dead in this country these are not isolated incidents.
No, it's not isolated. And the story, last week in Texas, a man killed a woman and her three children because he was under the influence. The officer, he was almost nearly twice the legal limit. And he didn't get arrested. So when people say that the cops are always after Black men, I can point after case of the case where they get slaps on the wrist, where they're allowed early prison release, criminals to come back into the community and re-victimize more victims. When a cop pulled this man over, when he was almost nearly 2 times over the legal limit. He had marijuana on him, and he actually had active warrants. But the cop didn't arrest that Black man. He let him go. And he ended up killing a Black woman and her 3 children. And the irony in that case is that the husband of the wife is the niece of the little girl who was killed for spilling water. This is the Black community, people. This is the Black community. We need to take a hard look. This is 4 people dead, 5 people dead, and 1 family due to Black male violence and negligence. And nobody wants to talk about those cold, hard facts. A little girl murdered because she spilled water, 6 years old. Her mother was attending the vigil for the people who were killed in the car accident. Now, what's the irony in that? and the perpetrators were both Black males. But nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to talk about it.
It'd be
So,
crickets. It'd be
yeah.
crickets. Also because men be in their feelings. Well, y'all making us seem bad. Oh, now we doing us? Now we doing
Okay.
us? No, you should feel some way about that as a man if you think this is not right.
But if you're concerned about how you're being portrayed, don't do anything that's negative.
You better say that.
It's not my job to cape or cover or be your public relations person when you're giving people ammunition. So if you're concerned about how people view you, then you stay in a positive light, and it'll solve itself. You don't have to worry about, well, the media is making Black men look bad. The media is making Black families look bad. The media is always talking about single Black mothers. Okay, how did we get into this situation where we allow that to be a focal point in the first place? Let's get to that.
Look, sis, you said a mouthful. You said a mouthful. And I feel like it's crickets. When I bring this topic up, it's crickets. Because we're so in love with imagery in the Black community. We're so in love with wanting to appear a certain way, even though that's not our reality. I am absolutely horrified for Black girls and women.
I am too.
You can't trust, because it's obvious that we have no value on Black women and girls' lives. It means nothing.
And we also need to talk about how Black women, I say this all the time, and I've said it to you before. We also need to talk about how Black women and girls have been indoctrinated to look at every Black man as their father, as their brother, as their son, or somebody else close to them that they care about. That's been embedded in the Black woman and girl's brain. But when you talk to Black men, they compartmentalize. They sit up and they will tell you flat out, I don't know her. She not my wife. She ain't my sister. She don't mean anything to me. So Black women need to start, and I keep saying it over and over and over again. You need to start compartmentalizing the same way Black men do. They see strange women that they don't know as strangers. Therefore, they have no emotional attachment and they have no reason to come to the rescue or aid of them. And Black women need to do the same thing. Black women know if a strange white man is around, they know what a stranger is. They know stranger danger. But for some reason, that wall comes down when he has the same color as them. I've taught my daughters, everybody is a stranger if you don't know them. I don't care if they have the same complexion. And Black men, that's how they do. That's how they save themselves, because they have no connection to something that they don't know. So we don't talk about that, though. We don't talk about that. When the young Black men, Trayvon Martin, and different ones have been killed, God rest their soul. But the thing is, you don't see hashtags of this could be my daughter. You saw it all the time was because I have a Black son. Yep. Where are the because I have a Black daughter hashtags? We do not think about the Black women at all. Because I have a Black son. That even President Obama has went on record as saying Trayvon could have been his son. He looked just like him. And what made me come to a reality is when Sister Sandra Bland killed. Because you know what I said? Because I have 4 daughters. That could have been my daughter because I have a Black daughter. And ever since then, I've been laser focused. Corinne Gaines, who was killed and by law enforcement. She was indoctrinated because she was in that sovereign citizen movement, indoctrinated by her father. You know, and when she was talking all, it's YouTube videos of her, how she's getting confrontational with the police and, different things, speaking that rhetoric that we've heard time and time again. I'm a traveler, I don't need a license, and this, that, and the third. After she got killed, Black men were saying she was stupid. But when she was talking smack to the police, oh, she's a strong sister. We need more Black women like that. But as soon as she was murdered, she was dumb. She shouldn't have did that. Oh, now Black men know how to comply when it comes to Black women. They know what comply mean when it comes to Black women. But when somebody says a Black man who was killed by law enforcement should have complied, all that goes out the door. Yeah, they sure did. They did shoot her 5-year-old son too. So, and she was left in that apartment alone, abandoned by a Black man. So we got to talk about these things.
That's real talk. It's real talk. And it can't be at the expense of your fucking feelings. Get out your feelings, Black man. Get out your feelings. It ain't that.
He left her in that apartment to die. He left not only her, but her child in that apartment to die. He got out, but he left her in there and she was murdered. So he was supposed to be her protector.
Come on.
So, this is what we're dealing with in the Black community. Of course, we know it's not all Black men, and I don't have to preface it with that.
That's
but
right.
It's too many of you all to say that something shouldn't be said and something shouldn't be done. The good Black men who are not saying anything, they're not being vocal, they're not talking to their brothers, they're not pulling them to the side, because what happens? They get ridiculed, they get called simps, punks, excuse my language, but pussy whipped. They get called all of these names because they need to be hard. They don't, you need to treat a woman like this. And, it's ridiculous, because we have our communities are fractured, and it's fractured a great deal because folks are dealing with emotions instead of facts.
Sister Rosa, as you're talking, I'm showing stories from your page, and it's like, if we ain't being murdered, then we being missing. You know what I mean? And when the Black woman or girl go missing, we just act like she went to the store or something, or maybe she made herself leave, or it's just no value, nothing stops.
Yes, and also when Black women and girls come up missing, it's the same thing, just like you said. Just like the old joke about when the dad leaves, he went to the store for some bread and cigarettes, and he just never came back. This is how they treat Black women, like you said, as though she just went on about her life.
Yeah,
nothing was wrong. She just walked off into the sunset. And if a Black girl goes missing, she's just deemed a runaway. Like this is like it's normal. We are still to this day every year hearing about Natalee Holloway.
Right.
We're hearing about Natalee Holloway. What happened to her is tragic. I'm not downplaying any of it. But we can't talk about Shaniqua, who came up missing last week. We're still hearing about her. We're still hearing about the little girl that family left her in the apartment overseas, and she came up missing. Yep. I mean, we do not hear. We still hearing about JonBenet Ramsey from the 90s.
That's real talk.
And nobody's talking about our children. We have what, BT, all of these News One, We have all of these so-called black media outlets, but none of them are dedicating any time, space, or anything to discuss all of the missing black women and girls in the community. They don't want to talk about sex trafficking because the main one sex trafficking us again is who?
Black men.
They don't want to talk about it. They don't want to talk about it. They want to talk about supremacy and telling me that I need to understand about how social constructs work. And I don't want to hear that. This is the 21st century. And if you're still basing your logic on something that happened back in 1619, I can't talk to you. This is the 21st century, and we still talking 17th century logic. When are we going to move forward as a people? We were more successful in the past than we are now in this so-called technological advanced society. So what's the problem?
Are there any particular cases that folks are maybe starting to look at more? I'm like, wow, how do we even bring any attention to this? I mean, we're doing our best. I know March we're going to kick off Black Femicide Awareness Month. I mean, in April we're going to kick that off.
Yes. No, it's like a little slow drip from a faucet. I get an interview here and there. Like I said, the major news outlet that I had an interview with, they scrapped it last summer because it was the height of all the George Floyd protests and everything, and Black Lives Matter protests that was, in defense of George Floyd. So my interview was scrapped because it was seen as divisive. And it was with a major NBC News, you remember, out in California.
Yep. I remember.
And it got scrapped because of the George Floyd Black Lives Matter protests that were going on globally. So once again, Black women and girls were pushed to the back of the line.
That's real talk. I know you said today 267 Black girls and women have been murdered in this year from January to where we are right now, family. That's a problem. That's a problem. And I don't know if you are a mother of a daughter, you should feel some way. If you are a Black woman, if you are a Black woman, because the reason why I'm saying woman, and it's not to disrespect anybody, but there is something about killing off who can bring life onto the planet that we cannot deny that. Because there's an anger there that you can't even phantom. Like, it's such an anger towards this Black woman that, that she carries the portal. It's not that she wears eyelashes or hair weave or heels or drag or whatever. It's something about her having that wound. Because when you kill her, you kill a whole nation of people.
And it's definitely an attack. That's why I label it specifically Black femicide, because that's what's happening. We're killing the Black females, the givers of life in the community, the nurturers, the caregivers. I mean, you don't have to have children to be the focus of what we're talking about. That's not what it's about. Nurturing, caregiving. There are women who are caring for their elderly parents and other people, and they're being killed, which again, their family is left vulnerable, because who's going to take care of them once the caregiver is gone? So like I say, so many times people don't think about these issues. It's more than just killing a person. You are devastating the survivors, because we know the Black woman is the backbone in the community. So when you strip the backbone from the frame collapses. And that's how we have to look at it.
That's real talk. That's real talk. Sister Rosa, I know you have your Black Femicide page, which I always share. I'm gonna
Uh-huh.
pull it up one more time. That is how people can reach you.
I
Um,
also have it on Twitter and Instagram as well.
okay, let me just share the page so people. I've been sharing it throughout this whole podcast. I mean broadcast, but I just feel like y'all, if you're not join it, be aware of it. People kill you. People want to come on your page and correct you on some shit and tell you to support anti-Asian bullying and all that shit. Like you got to tell me. But then when I post all these black girls and women missing, they don't say shit under that.
And her, this was sad. She, this, I don't know why this breaks my heart. She was killed by her husband. She's 77 years old. He's 78. And she was killed because he said she was cheating. And then people want to talk about mental illness and dementia. And
Got
it's
a
just
million excuses for this shit.
it's always ironic that we can talk about mental illness and all of these other disparities that goes on all over the Black community. We know that in the Black community, mental illness is overlooked, but we always are easily to gravitate to it when it's a Black man doing the killing. I don't know how many times, every time somebody murders, a Black man murders somebody, the first thing people want to say, he had to be mentally, yeah, that's her husband. He had to be mentally ill. He had to be this. He had to be that. But when a Black woman does despicable things, things that are the unthinkable, she needs to rot. They need to kill her. They never bring up mental illness or even there have been Black women because postpartum depression is real. That's a real issue. And there have been Black women who have harmed their infants. Nobody talks about postpartum depression, what she might have been suffering from. But first thing they want to say is with a Black man, well, this could have been going on, that could have been going on. No sympathy or empathy is ever given to us. This man beat a 7-year-old with a hammer and said he just lost it. Stabbed the mother, beat the mother, stabbed her twice. She ended up running out of the house. A neighbor ended up going into the house. There was an infant in the house. And thank God for that neighbor who put herself in danger, but she went in and saved an infant, but she wasn't able to save the 7-year-old boy. He beat the little 7-year-old boy in the head with a hammer, and he tells the police, I just lost it. Somebody got mad because I posted the picture of him because he has blood on him. Someone actually said that was a terrible picture of him, and they should not have released that picture of him with that blood on him. And I said, why? We need to see these monsters for who and what they are.
We still trying to protect this fool.
He bludgeoned a baby to death with a hammer, and you concerned about a damn photo op? And I'm telling you, you would be amazed. You would be amazed how Black women, and because that's my focus, I expect certain responses from Black men, period, okay? I expect it. But the Black women who come on the page and bandy support for perpetrators is mind-boggling. How dare you come on a page and tell me that that was a horrible picture to post because it had blood on him and it could have been the blood of the child. Well, it could have been the blood of the child, the mama he stabbed. But the point is, that's the brutal act that he did, and I'm glad they captured him in that light. You know, the young lady in Brooklyn who had been missing since November, and she was found dead in her trunk. The boyfriend said they got in an argument, and she just got out of the car and walked away off the highway, left her purse, her cell phone, all her personal belongings, and they found her in her car. in the trunk, abandoned.
Mm, mm, mm.
You
I'm
know,
showing these pictures and I'm scrolling up your page because I feel like, first of
mhm.
all, Rosa, thank you so much for your service. To me, this is service. This is the fact that you're creating this page, following these stories, documenting them, sharing them, so we know what's going on. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous.
I had a family member, and I get tips from families and friends. And I had a family member who contacted me and said she was just, Googling her family member's name. And she said, and this page came up, and she said, "Thank you so much for sharing her story and showing her face." She said, because the news articles, they did nothing. They just, it was basically just another black woman murdered. She said, but she was happy. It's sad, but she was happy that someone shared the story of her loved one. There was a lawyer who was killed about a week, maybe 2 weeks ago. And I had found out some information about her, that her father was an architect. She was doing a lot within the community. So when I gathered that information, I shared it. And her coworker actually contacted me and said, "Thank you so much for sharing all of that beautiful information about her and showing her as, as the beautiful person that she was." So I appreciate when families and friends contact me, because really, not only is it about getting the information out there, but it's also to let them know that they're not the only ones who are thinking about them, and that hopefully with this work, their death will not be in vain. Because my primary objective is to get Black femicide recognized within the United States, so legislation can be passed to give tougher sentences. I don't want to hear about sentencing guidelines, and
I'm not for it. I'm really
I don't
not.
I don't want to
Mm,
hear about it.
I don't
I
either.
want I want stronger sentences for people who are killing Black women and girls. I want femicide to be recognized as a hate gender-based crime. You have
Mm,
other groups who are protected because of race, because of sexual orientation, but Black women are being killed on the strength of, again, we're talking about intersection. People love to talk about intersection when it comes
yep.
to feminism, but we have Black women being slaughtered because they're killing two birds with one stone. She's Black and she's a woman. So that needs to be we need to be a protected class,
Right
and when
on.
somebody attacks us, it needs to be deemed a hate crime.
I agree.
And I don't care if it's a Black man who does it, he can hate her on the strength of her being a woman.
Mm, mm, mm.
So legislation needs to be passed. And that is going to be my legacy that I hope to leave behind, is that I was able to be a catalyst for change, to get laws changed to protect Black women and girls.
Right on. Right on. Thank you so much, Rosa. As we wrap up, y'all reach out to Rosa on the Black Femicide page. She's on Facebook. She's on Twitter.
Oh yeah, and I'm
And
Black, y'all. I'm Black because people keep saying I'm a white woman or I'm some kind of ghost figure behind the page. This is
that's
Rosa.
because people that's because people don't think Black folks are intelligent enough to govern their own selves.
Yeah, I've been a nurse for 31 years. I know how to do research. I know how to do statistics. I have Ivy League companies, schools rather, Ivy League universities. The CDC and the FBI actually align with my statistics. And in fact, my statistics have been shown to be a bit more accurate than theirs, because they do theirs every 10 years. Mine is live up to the minute.
Right on. Right on, Sister Rosa. as we depart, I'm going to end with a PSA that my interns did on Black Femicide this summer because they didn't know about it either. You know,
Wow.
when we were doing our give me the things that you think Black girls and women are facing, none of them said Black femicide because we're always taught to think about Black men being killed and Black men being targeted. They never once thought about what was happening to them.
Right.
Isn't that something? So, family, as we part up out of here, I'm going to share the PSA on Black femicide that my girls did this summer because I think is that important. So, and then I will let me just play this PSA. Okay, here we go. Am I sharing it now? Here we go. Oh, you know what? Hold on. Let me stop it. Sorry. Hold on. I gotta hold on. Sorry about that, y'all. Hold on. Okay, hold on, Rose. I want to make sure I show this. I can find out where I am again. Hold on. Passwords. So yeah, I want to really show this PSA. Um, Hold on. They did PSAs on a lot of things with Black girls and women. But the sad part is that even with our girls, you talked earlier about that programming, and that is a big part of it because we do not, teach young girls how to focus on themselves. Everything is always about protecting everyone else and themselves last. So I was very proud that they did this PSA. Okay, here we go. Here it comes. All right, Sister Rosa,
Hmm.
thank you so much for being with me today. Thank you for having this discussion. We're going to keep this going. April, we're going to kick off the Black Femicide Awareness Month and try to go
Yes.
all the way in. We got to focus on Black girls and women. Thank you
Yep.
so much, Rosa. Y'all, I will be back next week. Thank y'all for joining me.
All right.
Hold on,
Have a
sis.
good
Let me
one.
just, you too.
All right.